Let's start off at number 10 with the teenager who you saw in the intro. Well, that was Conrad Schaefer, who was sentenced to life in prison for a double fatal shooting spree that he went on back in 2013. He was sentenced to 2 life terms in prison, but in 25 years he is entitled to have his sentence reviewed and it could be shortened. Something tells me that we shouldn't shorten this teenager's sentencing.
My family and I had no intention to forgive the guilty because of such a heinous and brutal crime that was done to my grandson.
This teen went on a murdering spree, killing as many people as he could, but for some reason he's asking for leniency. I mean, buddy, did you give leniency to all the people that you gunned down? So he asked for leniency, pleading that he is sorry for what he has done.
I know if I was in your position, I'd feel the same way. I was 15 at the time, and I'm really sorry for the things I've done. And I know I did wrong, and I know my apology don't mean nothing to you. I know it ain't gonna change how you feel about me, but I just feel like I need to apologize, and I really am sorry for what I've done.
Yeah, I'm totally not buying it. The guy looks like he has no emotions whatsoever on his face. I mean, you ain't sorry. Alright, number 9. This right here is Alyssa Bustamante, and she wrote in a diary, and I quote, "I don't know how to feel at the moment. It was amazing. As soon as you get over the oh my god, it's pretty enjoyable. Is this real life right now? Well, hopefully prison is just as enjoyable because you're gonna be calling that place home for a very long time." She's in there after she committed a murder. Bustamante was raised by her grandparents because her mother had a history of drug and alcohol abuse, which led to charges and jail time, and her father was also in jail. He was in jail for assault, so I guess Alyssa didn't fall too far from the apple tree because she's in prison for life for murdering her 9-year-old neighbor just for the thrill of it. Well, she wrote this: "I just effing killed someone. I strangled them and slit their throat and stabbed them. Now they're dead. I don't know how to feel at the moment. It was kind of amazing." Then she wrote, "I'm kind of nervous and shaky though right now. Okay, I gotta go to church now. LOL. Well, hopefully this teen can have all the time that she needs to, think about her behavior in prison. I think we should give her the rest of her life. Like, give her all the time she needs. From there, let's go to number 8. This is 17-year-old Adrian Zellimer, who pleaded guilty to murdering a 10-year-old girl who was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole after 40 years. This came after a plea deal. The 17th Judicial District Attorney Dave Young said this: "In 27 years as a prosecutor, I've never seen a 15-year-old commit such a violent act. This attorney must have seen a lot in his days, especially if he's listening to murder cases all day. And for the attorney to come out with a statement like this is insane. How does a 15-year-old even have it in them to, commit such an awful crime?" At number 7, we have Russell Burrell, who pleaded guilty to a murder. He was alongside 3 other people who committed the murder, and he was sentenced to 6 life sentences in prison plus 10 years. He was the teen we talked about in the intro of this video. Burrell murdered 3 people: Shamika Barris, Michael Martin, and Damian Collin. This was a planned murder in order to steal money and drugs.
Let us be clear, 19-year-old Russell Burrell, who was a juvenile at the time of the murders, was the one who emptied 17 rounds into 3 human beings, and today was his last day in civilized society for the rest of his natural life.
Alright, number 6. We have Shane Thompson, who was 17 years old at the time he committed murder, while he was sentenced to 110 years in prison.
Thompson pleaded guilty to murdering 39-year-old Evelyn Njai during a September 25, 2013 robbery attempt at this Rickers BP located on West 38th Street.
So that wasn't the only crime he committed. He was charged and convicted of murder, robbery, and sexual assault.
Prior to that, Thompson broke into the home of this woman and sexually assaulted her while her husband and sons were held at gunpoint.
This is so sickening. It's hard to even read this. This teenager deserved every moment of that 110 years prison sentence. Thompson is obviously not a normal person. When he was sentenced, he seemed pretty happy about it.
Oh, the man he killed, Derek Thomas, has that story.
Why is this guy smiling? Number 5.
17-year-old Raceland Martin entered the courtroom handcuffed with his feet in shackles. He sat and appeared to be listening intently to testimony, occasionally nervously looking.
That was 17-year-old Raceland Martin, who murdered his grandfather with a hatchet. Martin was 15 years old when he planned the murder of his grandfather. When this kid was in court, he was shaking like crazy.
The defense, however, arguing his client did not have a normal upbringing, functioning as an adult when he should have been treated like a child.
I don't know if you guys saw that, so let's take a look again.
As an adult when he should have been treated like a child.
Why is this teenager scared now? Martin received a life sentence and he'll spend the rest of his life behind bars. He has a chance of setting the record for being the longest serving inmate in prison because he committed an awful crime at such a young age. And he is not getting out until he passes away in prison. So let's see if he can set the record. Number 4, we actually have someone else who killed an elderly person. This right here is 17-year-old teen who murdered 98-year-old Margaret Douglas. She was in her home when the incident happened, and the teenager tried to hide her body in the closet. In court, he tried to apologize for what he did.
I'm so sorry for what I did. I constantly live in regret and shame because of it.
It's been 9 months since these hands committed those acts on...
The only reason why the teen is apologizing is because his lawyers told him to in an attempt to get a reduced sentencing. But luckily, it never worked. Those fake tears, the words did nothing for him. He was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Number 3, we have Savon Schmuss, who pleaded guilty to killing his half-sister. Schmuss was only 16 years old at the time when he murdered her in their home. He murdered her and dumped her body near a lake so no one can find out. He tried to get away with the crime.
Photos of her smiling face and memories. A young life taken away at the hands of a half-brother who her family says she loved.
He was convicted and sentenced up to 100 years in prison, so because he took a plea deal, he does have a chance of being released from prison when he's 116 years old. This teen has no sympathy whatsoever, so you know what, why should we? If you can live to 116, then we'll let you out. No problems there. In court, he was asked if he has anything to say, and he just said no. Number 2.
Sharing their thoughts with the teenager who admitted to it all, Aiden Von Grabo.
How do you wish to plead to count 2?
Guilty, Your Honor.
Von Grabo taking a guilty plea for first-degree murder and a long list of other crimes, including attempting to murder Michaela's younger sister.
Why is this teen so evil? This took place in northern Colorado, and the teen was given life in prison. The person he murdered was Michaela Grote, who was just 20 years old. And apparently she wasn't the only one on his death list that he created. I mean, what the heck is that? He had intentions of killing many more people. He was only 16 years old when he was charged with first-degree murder, 3 counts of attempted first-degree murder, attempted first-degree arson, extortion, 2 counts of felony menacing, 3 counts of stalking, 3rd-degree assault of an at-risk person, criminal mischief, and telephone harassment. I mean, that is a mouthful to go through. It's just unbelievable that one person, and I should say not just one person, one teenager was capable of doing. Finally, number 1.
Buffalo teen who killed a man and then set his house on fire to cover up the crime is heading...
Next, we're talking about a 19-year-old kid who spent 20 years to life in prison. He was convicted of murdering 52-year-old Brian Dombick.
19-year-old David Myers may very well spend the rest of his days in a prison cell. He spoke before his sentence, apologizing to his victim's family and his own.
If I could go back and make up for what I did, I would. I'll give Harmon a lake.
This might be one teenager who actually felt sorry for what he has done and is willing to deal with the consequences.
I agree. I do deserve to be incarcerated. I committed a crime, and that's all.
So don't get me wrong, I still don't feel bad for him. And is this scary moment? Okay, did you guys see how petrified she was? It's funny because the introduction video made her look so tough, but as soon as she saw the inmates tapping on the glass, she was ready to tap on out of there.
I'm flat with my style and I'm ghetto with my mom. I'm ghetto fabulous. I will fight boys and girls. When I'm fighting, I don't feel bad for nobody because they should never came.
Okay, I can't believe that she's only 12 years old and she's already talking about getting into a ton of fights and how she doesn't feel bad if someone got hurt. She definitely needed this wake-up call. I'm pretty sure when I was 12 years old, I was at the park climbing trees or swimming in the pool. If someone wanted to fight me, I would run away. I think that's why I'm so fast. I did a lot of running away. You wouldn't find me starting fights or bragging about it. Well, for this young one, she needs to start acting like a regular, non-violent 12-year-old girl, because you're only gonna end up like the people that just scared the crap out of you. So hurry up, tap on out of there, and change your life around. Next up on this list, at number 9, we have a teenager who spat on an inmate. I'm pretty sure this is common knowledge, but you should never spit on an inmate because you're asking for trouble. First of all, you don't know what they're in for. It could be for murder. And secondly, what if they spit on you too? You don't know what kind of bacteria is in their saliva. But let's take a look at how this situation went down. I am almost 100% confident that this teenager is probably going to see what the inside of a prison cell looks like. He just looks like he doesn't care about authority at all, and if he does go to prison, he is seriously going to get himself into a lot of trouble in there. The teenager who blames an inmate comes creeping into number 8. Have you guys ever heard the saying of snitches get stitches? Well, if this kid was actually in prison, he would definitely get some stitches. He would get shanked.
Where'd you get him from?
He told me hold him.
Who told you? Who told you? Who?
My dad.
Which one?
I know you ain't talking. Let's show you ain't trying.
This kid was holding about 7 knives, and he told the counselor that his other prison inmate told him to hold on to them. That's when the prison inmate freaked out and went lunging at the boy. I don't think I would be blaming anyone who is capable of snapping me into 2 pieces. Better yet, I definitely wouldn't agree to hold his dirty knives in the first place. I think that's just common sense. It's like, hey, can you hold this gun? It's a murder weapon, but just hang on to it for a little bit. You know, get your fingerprint. And now at number 7, we have an inmate who refuses to leave the cell.
2, 3. Stand up. Stand up. You don't have a choice when you're in here. You do what you're told. It's not up to you where you're housed. You don't want to move? We'll make you move like this.
Correctional officers wanted to show these young gang members what it would be like if they were in prison and refused to listen to orders. I think it was staged, but what is up with the inmate in the next cell? Like seriously though, I think he took his acting skills so far because I'm genuinely terrified of him. They should have just been like, he's gonna be your cellmate if you ever get arrested and sent to jail. I think that's good enough for me to make me become a law-abiding citizen. Kid inmate yells at prison guard, and this comes into our list at number 6.
Huh? Let it happen. You soft, boy. Scared. You soft. Away from me. What you gonna do?
You're already crying. Look at
What you gonna do?
What I tell you, I'm gonna laugh at you now.
What you gonna do about it?
Okay, honestly though, these kids are braver than I would ever be if I was put into a prison just for a day. I would have lost my mind after a minute. I see one inmate and I'm freaking out already. I would be paranoid. You'd probably see me crying my eyes out and begging to be released. I'll be good forever, I promise. I will never jaywalk again. Well, this psycho kid was laughing when the guards were yelling at him, and he actually yelled back. He did have some tears in his eyes, so I guess the program was working a little bit, but he was also very defiant, and I think he was on the verge of punching the officer out and getting himself, permanently into the program. He'll be on Beyond Straits as the prisoner next time. Inmate gets physical with a teen, and this brings us to number 5. This teenager was brought to a federal court because he was caught sneaking into people's homes and stealing their stuff. When they entered the prison, the teenagers have to wear a sign that says what kind of crime they committed. So when an inmate heard about these kids bragging about their petty crimes, he got really physical with them. He even dragged this kid over to a gross toilet and forced him to stick his head in it. I'm pretty sure if an inmate did that to me, I would never commit any crimes anymore. So I guess this scare tactic would be extremely effective. Gross, but very effective. And now at number 4, we have an inmate who tries to attack a kid.
About me, man. Grab that home, dog. You's a bitch ass. I'd have beat your ass. Man, let me go, man. Man, let me go, man. I'd have beat your ass.
Is this real life right now? Yeah, I don't think this inmate got the memo that they're actually not supposed to hurt these kids. You know, there's cameras everywhere, this is a show. I'm pretty sure that the inmates selected to participate in the program are supposed to get some incentives, and they're supposed to be well-behaved criminals in jail, but I think the producers messed up with this one when they selected this inmate. You can tell that he still has a lot of anger issues to deal with, and I bet he was punished for almost attacking this young kid. Inmate tries to break into cell, and this scary moment makes its way into number 3. Is this real life right now? That huge inmate was slamming his head against a steel door. Does he think that he's some sort of ram? I mean, the human skull isn't developed to withstand that much force. I think he went a little bit too far, and he was probably sent to an infirmary for a cracked skull and for just being a big dum-dum. But honestly though, if I was that kid trapped in the cell, I would pee myself and crawl into a ball and hope for the best. Yeah, I guess I could say that I'm definitely not cut out for the prison life. Things get feisty in at number 2 when a teenager tries to punch a corrections officer.
Corporal Kano! 2 Corporal Kano!
Hey.
Get up.
Turn around. Turn around. Cover up. Cover up.
Turn around. Put handcuffs on her. That's all you can do.
Yeah, you should never punch a guard in prison. That's probably the worst thing you can do. I'm pretty sure that's like the #1 rule because you can be charged with assault and battery against a police officer and you'll get more time added to your sentence. But this little punk girl thought that she was really tough when she tried to take a swing, but she was very lucky that the corrections officer was able to dodge it. I wonder what happened to her after the incident. I bet she was taken to have a tour of solitary confinement. Here, let me show you what it looks like if you were stuck in 4 walls, and I'm gonna leave you here for like a few days. Let's see if you'll punch anyone ever again. Alright, topping off our list, in at number 1 with a crazy inmate. I think we've done it again. We've saved the best for last. Okay, but seriously guys, Hannibal Lecter has nothing on this inmate. I'm gonna call him Crazy Willie because he is absolutely terrifying. If I saw him in real life, I'm pretty sure I'd be having nightmares for a solid week. I wonder what caused him to be so heavily restrained, but by the looks of it, he probably tried to pull a Mike Tyson and bite off someone's ear. Apparently that happens in prison a lot more than you guys think. And if this guy was my cellmate, I would just keep crying until they put me into solitary confinement, and I would just commit so many crimes while I was in there so I can never return back to this guy's cellmate ever again. Let's start off this video in at number 10. First up we have 13-year-old Willie who thinks he's a tough guy.
You gonna get on my face.
I will stay in your face all day long. Do you understand me?
So that was tough guy 13-year-old Willie who thinks his behavior is normal. He would often get suspended from school because of his anger issues.
When I get angry, I usually get mad, blow up, and try to fight everyone.
He would often fight with his young brother Cal. Willie would choke his brother during these fights, and also he's now starting to fight his mom.
I was trying to calm him down, and he slammed me on the ground. He was punching me and kicking me.
That is a very serious crime, so before it's too late for this kid, his mother contacted Beyond Scared Straight.
I think, you know, this program will work for you. You can change, so you can really see what jail is really gonna be like.
So while on the program, Willie wasn't taking it seriously. He was all smiles when the police officers was talking to him, so the police officers got into the kid's face and broke him down into tears.
I don't care. Big man. Put your hands down before I take you down. I'm not playing with you.
Mama.
Go for it. Go for it.
She's the only
Why
one
you
that
got
really
them tears
cares
running
about
down
you.
your eyes? Go for it.
Let's just hope that something got through to this kid. If not, yeah, this TV show is gonna become a reality. Number 9.
Now watch your mouth. You are not at home, gentlemen. You are not at home.
That was 16-year-old Keshawn, who is in a gang. 16 years old, already a gang member. He steals cars, guns, whatever he can get his hands on. He is often very violent and can't control his temper. His mom brought him to this program to try to break him. Well, it seems like Keshawn's toughness kept with him during this whole program. He didn't want to listen to any officers. He wasn't taking this program seriously at all. He thought he can get away with whatever he wants to.
You will not disrespect me in my house. Is that understood?
This kid just started this program and already got himself arrested.
Why the wrong with you, dog? Chill out. You are starting in the wrong way.
I mean, man, Keshawn. When Keshawn was in the prison, he started acting up, calling out other inmates. He then started to spit on the floor, so the officers had to restrain him and put a spit hood on his head.
It's a spit hood. Spit hoods. Sit back.
Moving into number 8.
My name's Anthony. I'm 19. I smoke, I drink, I steal. I done it all out here, man.
This kid thinks he's a tough guy and doesn't think there will be consequences to his actions in life. Well, 10th grader Anthony is about to get a wake-up call. Ring ring, who's that? Yeah, it's life. Anthony throughout the show was saying that he wasn't going to prison because he will never get caught. So he wants to continue his gang life and committing these horrible crimes. On Beyond Scared Straight, there was a scene during this episode where Anthony was locked up in a cell next to a murderer who was serving a 240-year sentence. That man was actually just 23 years old. His name was Chemo. The officer said, "Do you think this guy cares about you? People will just attack you in prison for no reason at all." Anthony was one of the toughest guys the show ever had because it took a while to break this kid. But in the end, Anthony realized that prison wasn't for him, so he actually has a new positive outlook on life, and he's planning on getting his GED and turn his life around. Number 7.
I don't know who you're talking to. You're not talking to me, miss. I don't care if you got a badge or a gun. I don't give a
Really?
Yeah.
Is this real life right now? This teen is for sure going to be going to prison like very soon. Well, that was 15-year-old David, who has been charged for violence on his own family. David has a very bad temper, which seems to be the common element with all of these teenagers on this show. David breaks things in his house. He punched his mom's vehicle, the front glass windshield. This guy has no regard for anything. David's mom called a police officer after her window was smashed. 8 cop cars appeared, and David was telling them all off. David started throwing things and said, "You want a reason to arrest me? Well, here it is." And then yeah, he was arrested. They cuffed him and off to jail he went. David is always threatening his own mom. One time he even punched her in the face, and he's made other mini threats towards her. Well, on the show, David tried to show his toughness, but he broke down.
You love her to death? Yes. Then why are you treating her the way you are? I can't control my I'll take a bullet for my mother, dude. Yeah.
Number 6, we have this.
My name's Shabir. I'm 15. I like to fight, smoke weed, and I'm a thief. I'm proud of all the bad things that I do.
That was 15-year-old Travis, who has huge anger issues. Oftentimes, Travis just looks for people to fight. He really enjoys beating up people because he believes that everyone deserves it, and he becomes proud of beating them up. Well, sorry to say, but in prison, he is going to be the one that's getting beaten up. Travis has a great chance of the show Beyond Scared Straight becoming a reality. He has been suspended more than 60 or 70 times. He has already been charged with breaking into someone's house. He just went inside their home and started stealing whatever he wanted, and he put all of the electronics and stolen goods into his backpack, and he was caught. He was sent to jail for a week or 2. And you would think that serving some time would, change a person, but for this kid, it didn't. Alright, let's take a look at another kid who thinks that they're tough in at number 5. This person needs a reality check, and let's just say he might have gotten one. This next teenager is 17-year-old Bryn Lee, who was sent to the rehabilitation show Beyond Scared Straight because of his violence. Bryn Lee would often hit his mother. During the beginning of the show, the kid was acting all tough and was saying that he's not afraid of anybody.
Be my straight up, and I'm a maker. What you looking at? Do something. You ain't gonna do. Expect your mama? Yeah.
Well, there was one woman on the show who was in jail. She seemed to get through to this kid.
Times. Them boys would love to have your Maybe you can talk to these other kids like that, but I damn sure ain't scared of you.
I don't want you to be scared of me, baby. I promise you I don't. I just want you to realize where your life is headed, honey.
After this conversation, both of them actually hugged it out. After the show was complete, Bryn Lee changed his ways and realized the path he was on, and he apologized to his mom. Next up, number 4, we have a computer hacker.
Just things such as hacking Facebook and sending viruses and breaking into banks, get access from a server from a website and pulling email account info, and that gets boring, so we go to the advanced things, and I don't really like to talk about the advanced things.
So that was 13-year-old Christopher, who is very intelligent, but he uses his smart for really dumb things. So does that even make him smart? He seems to be a smart dum-dum. This kid thinks he's a tough guy, but when faced with reality, he shows to be not so tough.
You do with the computer?
I don't know.
You don't know?
No.
So you playing me for crazy now?
No.
You playing me for stupid now? So you did it, but you don't know what you did.
So at the end of the show, Christopher said he didn't realize how bad of a crime he was committing, and he realized that he could be locked up for a very long time. Christopher now attends MIT for computer science, and he's using his skills for good things now. Now at number 3, we have this.
Don't fight her! Don't fight her! Don't fight her! Don't fight her! I got her!
So that was 16-year-old Jermea, who has a problem with fighting people. And even on this show, she seems to have a problem listening to the police officers. It's not worth trying to be a tough person. Where does it even get? Well, this anger issue seems to run in the family because her brother Jamal is also a fighter. He once punched his teacher in the face, and they're looking to press charges against him. So he might be on the show on the other side of things. He seems to be a tough guy in the streets, but when he's on the show, he didn't look so tough.
No, sir, I don't want to go in there, sir. No, sir. No, sir, I don't want to go in there. What you mean? Why not? Come on. No, sir, I don't want to go in there. I don't want to go in there.
This kid literally broke down in tears, and sorry to say, but if this was real life, buddy, your life in prison would be a very tough one. People are going to bully and fight you every single day because they see weakness. So maybe being tough isn't what you want. He seemed to be shooken up from this show, so hopefully he learned something. Number 2 is shocking. You're about to see 14-year-old Jasmine. She enjoys smoking weed, she snorts pills, she takes a lot of hardcore drugs. Jasmine is high all the time. She sneaks out of her parents' house and has a very bad temper. Currently, Jasmine lives with her grandma because her mother, well, she's currently in jail. So this is like a mother-like daughter situation. For some reason, Jasmine believes that even with the path that she is on, that she's never gonna end up in jail.
Because my mom, she just got locked up. Not going to jail.
You know what? Your mother said that over and over again. And she's been in and out for the past 4 years.
Well, during the show, something shocking happened. Jasmine's mother appeared on the show unexpected, and her mom had a chance to talk to her daughter.
Stand up. My name's Nicole, Jasmine's my daughter, and I'll do anything to make sure that she doesn't end up in jail like me.
As soon as her mother appeared, Jasmine started to tear up. It was a very emotional moment.
Being able to pick up the phone and ask me if we can go to the mall, is it worth it? Is any of that worth it? Any of it? No. I would trade every name brand thing that you had just to be able to come home for a day.
And finally, at number 1, we have this kid right here.
My name is Brandon. I was brought on a jail tour because I was fighting, robbing people, selling drugs.
So that was Brandon. He was very mouthy on the show. One part, he told the officers that he loved touching women, and how if the officer had a daughter his age, she would be on his team. Well, Brandon was actually able to piss off the officer. Pretty sure this is one person that you don't want to be pissing off. Brandon has to realize that prison is the direction he is going into if he continues on this path. And he also has to realize that the show is very laid back in comparison to actually being in prison. If he told the officer he would bang his daughter, he would probably get thrown into solitary confinement where he is going to be broken. Also, if he melts off to another inmate in there, there's no telling what can happen. Brandon was actually so bad, the show kicked him out. The officers on Beyond Scared Straight realized that they weren't getting through to this kid, and they're just gonna see him very soon. They'll deal with him with no cameras rolling.
Step out. I'm done with you.
So tough.
How old are you?
16? I'll see you in 1 year.
Well, after the show, it was shocking. Brandon was, right after the show, he was sort of the same, but as time went on, Brandon started to change his ways. He changed his attitude around, and he started to calm down and realize what the program taught him in the short time that he was on it.
Getting kicked out made me realize it was time for a change.